All right, so day 30 of the challenge. Woke up quite early, about 6 o'clock on a Sunday, but I did go to bed a little bit early, I think about 11 o'clock last night. I've been, really last night was about studying kind of thing or getting ready for this vegan. You got to have a little bit of preparation because, you're taking out a huge part of your food source. So I've kind of made a list that you see right now. And these are kind of the main groups of food I'm going to focus on at the beginning and then play around with them and see exactly how I'm going to incorporate them into my diet to make sure I get the right protein, fiber, and vitamins and so forth. Because I want a good experience from this based on doing it right. I don't want to feel like I'm fainting all the time because I'm not implementing a really good system to eat vegan or plant-based. I should actually say plant-based. I think that's a better, more appropriate way to put this. Because I'm not going to get rid of all my clothes and everything and go true vegan if I do have any clothes made from animals. Like I couldn't even say, or any products. But I think it's more accurate and fair to say I'm going on a plant-based diet. I've got some interviews done. You can watch them straight after this intro. And today I'm going to go for a walk with the new walking shoes I've got. I also got some new sports shoes. I'll give them a look through so you guys can see them. And I might go for an actual kayak around the Norda. Just depends on how much time I have. Anyway, let's get to it.
How long have you been a vegan?
2 or 3 years, imperfect, but 99%.
What was the reason to do so?
Health benefits, animal welfare, environment.
What has been the biggest challenge?
Finding restaurants and eating at others. In the beginning, I ate vegetarian outside the door and vegan at home. Oh yes, and missing taste in dishes. Tip: buy miso pasta.
What has been the biggest surprise?
How many different things you can eat and how tasty that is, plus the versatility of chickpeas and banana. Haha.
What has been the biggest benefit?
More energy, less muscle pain, better recovery, more beautiful skin, contribute to a healthier planet for the next generation.
How long do you plan on doing it?
Forever.
Tips for someone about to start like me?
Allow a few months for a change. Coincidentally, I was on Saturday at a presentation by Neil van de Kamer, judoka, who talked about the transition of Jeremy Reinders, fittest man in the Netherlands, CrossFit athlete, to a vegan diet. He had taken 4 months to do this. First change breakfast, if that went well lunch, then dinner, then snacks. Replace meat with real food, such as beans, peas, tempeh, tofu and just lots of vegetables and fruit. Meat substitutes often contain a lot of fat and are very processed, not all.
Hey Richie, how are you?
Good, Arlene. How you going?
Oh, we're going good.
What I wanted to ask you, so I'm doing this 75-day challenge, and I'm going to I'm going to try going.
You can hear that.
Yeah, that's no problem. I'm going to try going vegan for 3 weeks just to see the effects and so forth. So if it's okay, I just want to, because you've been doing it for a while. So I just wanted to ask you, for instance. So first of all, maybe I should ask her.
That's him.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, this is no problem. I just wanted to know, how long have you been a vegan for?
I've been vegan for 8.5 years.
Okay, and what was the reason you did so?
I was vegetarian for 19 years prior, and opening my eyes up to, I guess, the dairy industry in particular. So once you sort of know better, you do better. So I guess I was in a lot of ignorance for quite a while about those industries, because as vegetarian you still eat things like eggs and dairy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so main reason that I did it was for ethics, really. Yeah.
So not so much the health reasons, but more the ethics behind it and the animal treatment and so forth.
That's right. I'm afraid if you go in amongst the community and you said that you're doing it for the health reasons, a lot of people would challenge you and say that you're actually plant-based versus vegan. So plant-based is the health, you're eating a diet.
Yeah.
But when you're living as a vegan, you're adopting a certain level of ethics and a stance against how animals are exploited.
I'm looking at doing the. What's the biggest difference, would you say, between plant-based and vegan?
The biggest difference is your choices extend beyond what you eat. So, for instance, you don't use any products from animals.
Oh, okay.
You don't, I mean, you got to start somewhere, and some people do start from a diet, and then they learn more, and they may want to extend that across their lifestyle.
Okay.
So for instance, we won't buy feather pillows or leather shoes, or we won't go to zoos, that sort of thing.
So vegan is more a lifestyle rather than a diet.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that actually. Thanks for that. Okay, so I'm going to go plant-based. I don't really eat fur or anything like that. But for now, I'm going to do plant-based. What was the biggest challenge? What's the biggest challenge you've had being vegan?
Okay, so doing the vegan, I guess I've probably, if I were to answer the vegan, which is beyond the diet, the biggest challenge was learning about how animals are abused and whatnot across the different industries.
And if you would say,
you're approaching it from a different direction. So having to see that and for opening your eyes to stuff that you don't want to watch, but I did it because I felt that I should know what's going on. And I should witness what we're doing.
And if you say diet-wise, what was the biggest challenge there? I mean, you're already a vegetarian, so you kind of were on your way, but still, you had to take a lot of things out of your diet.
Okay. Well, I guess a lot of new people that are new to it face a lot of criticism from those around them. People may put you on the spot. Oh my gosh. Just checking out my cats. Right.
I won't take too much of the time. What was your biggest surprise when you went, let's say, vegan, both for the diet and for the lifestyle? The biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise was that my partner was willing to go vegan with me. Yeah, sure, buddy. So we've been together for 9 years, and he was, he's a tradie and whatnot, and he was happy to go vegan with me, and I did not expect that. Okay. I just asked him one morning if he minded if we don't bring dairy milk home for his coffee, because he was eating what I cooked anyway.
So what did he do?
It's not hard.
Did he just stop doing milk in his coffee, or did he switch to like a cream, like a powder, or?
Oh no, he just went black.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd get sugar in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it tastes pretty good.
What do you think was the biggest benefit you've had from both sides, vegan and from the diet?
Well, that one's pretty obvious, as you've pointed out, the health benefits. So
but what have you personally seen for yourself, like personally in terms of your health?
Well, that's the thing. I couldn't notice because I was vegetarian for so long, and I wasn't paying attention to that. There are people who have approached it because they might have health afflictions, and again, I can't speak to that because those are like anecdotal sort of stories. But and of course you'll get people that come at both sides. They might say, vegans are more depressed, or vegan children grow up, a centimetre on average shorter than their peers. Whilst my children have always been in the upper percentiles for, height for age.
Yeah.
But health-wise, you look at the studies, they will take the blood of an omnivore versus a vegan, and also vegetarians, and they put them in a culture dish with breast cancer cells. And there's actually a significant higher cancer-killing rate from the blood, with what you've got going in your blood of the vegan, than vegetarian or omnivore. I mean, these are studies that you can look up, and it's not just here or there. There's a significant notice of activity, and also things like whenever you eat animal products, you get a stiffening of your arteries within like an hour after eating, and this happens after every meal. From what's in your animal protein and whatnot. So, there's lots of data out there.
Okay. And
it weighs strongly for vegan diet, for plant-based diet.
And the last thing I want to know is, do you have any tips for me before I begin?
Yes. First of all, supplement with B12. I mean, you're only doing it for 3 weeks, but if you were going to consider doing it for longer, I would supplement with B12. There's no known. I mean, I think there might be 1 or 2 plant sources of B12 now, but it's not something you take risks with.
And when you say supplement, do you mean just take some B12 pills?
Well, the best one is under the tongue, so sublingual, whether it be a pill, whether it be a spray, whether it be drops.
All right.
I don't know where it is, but we'll have to look for it. Also, veganize your sort of like 5 of your favorite dishes to begin with, so that you're not sort of at a loss as to what to eat.
Yeah.
Which is not hard. Hey, well, I don't know where it is, Lady.
Well, we have a lot of fake meat nowadays here. Lots, like like sausages and that are not, that are plant based. So that's getting easier and easier.
Those are easy, but they're best for transition only. So when you look at them, they're highly processed foods. If you're looking at it from a health perspective in any way, you use those for transition or as a sometimes food, but don't base your meals around them.
Gotcha.
So you want to go towards whole food.
Yeah.
Whole foods.
Pastas and so forth.
Yeah, because you'll lose any of your health benefits if you start eating highly processed foods in every meal.
Good point. I didn't think about that. All right. Well, that's been really helpful. Yeah.
And there's one more thing also.
Yeah.
If you're starting out in earnest, I recommend you track your intake of your vitamins and your macros and whatnot. But on some place like Chronometer, you can do it online for free. You enter in your meals. You find out, for instance, calcium's hard to get in your diet, so you want to make sure you're getting what you need, the minimum and all that.
Okay.
So it gives you an idea, so you can track where, because if you're going to do this, you have to know what you're eating. You have to have an idea of what's in your food.
Can it be dangerous that you're missing out on these things of calcium and so forth?
Well, it's your health, but B12 in particular, it can take a long time to get down your body's stores. So we're talking even up to 10 years, and people will say, "Oh, I'm fine, I don't supplement at all." But the symptoms of deficiency in B12 approach like dementia, and some of them can be unreversible. So because you need it for your neurons.
Yeah.
So you might lose memory, clarity, you'll be foggy, that sort of thing.
Okay.
We'll find it soon, but just make sure you cover the nutritional, what you need to be covering.
Would you mind sending me that link after this conversation, Arlene? To that website?
What, on the...
For the tracking?
Yeah.
Cool. And I'll
yes, I can do that.
Yeah, and I'll definitely get into that. All right. Well, that's been really, really helpful. So I'll let you know how it goes. And I'm quite interested to see what... do you think I'm going to see results after 3... Well, not results. Do you think I'm going to see any impact after 3 weeks? Like, not tremendous, but a bit?
It depends what your diet's like beforehand. So, if you're suddenly eating a lot more fiber, and some people weren't used to that previously, they might be gassy because you forget that you've got a whole microbiome in your gut.
Yeah.
So if they're used to seeing a lot of animal protein and suddenly they're seeing a lot of extra fiber and stuff, you'll notice because it takes a while for that gut flora to actually adapt to what you're eating.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and they say that in some of these studies you can see an immediate increase in things like cancer-killing ability of your blood within 3 weeks. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I did read that there are some things that really happen very, very even within an hour. Some things start to happen. It's quite interesting that all that happens. Well, this is great. So I'd like to. I'm going to give it a shot, and I'll let you know how it goes. Actually, maybe we can have a talk after 3 weeks, and I can tell you what I felt and so forth.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Hello.
Hey Liz, how you going?
Not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Good. It's been a while. So as you know, I'm doing that 75-day challenge, and I want to try everything. So I thought, well, I might as well try. And what I've learned now is there's a difference between a plant-based diet and a vegan. And I'm going to go for the plant-based diet, although I don't really wear animal products or anything like that. But I'm going to start with the plant-based diet. And I'm getting a couple of opinions, and I knew that you were into this. So the first thing I wanted to ask, Liz, was how long have you been a vegan for? First of all, are you a vegan or are you on a plant-based diet?
I'm basically more vegan than plant-based because it does affect my diet, but I try really hard not to use animal products. But I'm not going to throw away all my leather shoes that I've had for hundreds of years. I'm kind of trying to avoid buying anything new that's not vegan. So yeah,
gotcha. So more of a
I've basically been a vegan for about 4 years, but before that I was a vegetarian for 20. So
okay. And what was the reason first to become a vegetarian, and then second to go and become a vegan?
Well, I became a vegetarian in the UK back in the 90s, and there were loads of really bad food scares related to meat.
Like mad cows?
Feel okay.
Mad cow's disease?
They had E. coli, and then they had some problems with mad cow's disease, and it was because the food industry was making a mess of things, and some of it was hygiene related, some of it was what they were feeding the animals, and I just thought, I don't really want to get medical problems because of the bad practices in the food industry.
Yeah.
And now it's more about health really and the planet, because the meat industry produces an awful lot of CO2, and there's a lot of things happening while we try to feed everybody, which really end up with hens and cows and things being treated really badly, and it adds to all the greenhouse gases. And then from a health perspective, I think eating too much animal fat isn't a good idea for your health.
Yeah.
So that's it really now.
And when you started this, what was the biggest challenge you found with those? I'd like to focus on both if that's okay. So the biggest challenge when you started becoming a vegetarian, and then the biggest challenge you found when you became a vegan.
Well, as a vegetarian, I didn't really have any challenges, because what I realised that I was out of habit mostly eating vegetarian already. It was cheaper to eat that way. I was, recently a teacher at the time, and I didn't have a lot of money. So we used to eat a lot of fruits and veggies, and meat was expensive. So I kind of became vegetarian almost by accident, because I realised I hadn't eaten a lot of meat and then stopped eating the last few bits. As a vegan, the hardest thing was stopping eating cheese, and that is a common problem, because there's certain things that you enjoy eating and you're thinking, well, I like this, but I've got to stop. So eating cheese was a habit that I had to break. But what I found, because I was doing it as a more long-term commitment, was that I just gradually gave it up. I ate less and less cheese, and then realised, similarly to when I was vegetarian, that, I haven't had this for a while, and I'm not sure I miss it, because it's just gradually disappeared from the way I eat.
Okay. And for both of these, what was the biggest surprises you had for both becoming a vegetarian and then becoming a vegan?
I think basically that was part of the surprise, that it's not that difficult. I think a lot of people think it is hard to become plant-based or vegan, and I think what you have to try and do is kind of recognise the things that you eat that you do enjoy that fit the brief, and then gradually it starts to slot into place. And it's not as difficult as people think. I think that was a big surprise, because I thought it was going to be very virtuous, and that I would always end up eating things that were a bit kind of miserable. And in fact, it's not really like that, or it wasn't in my experience.
Yeah. And the biggest benefits you felt that, from this?
Well, it is cheaper, as long as you eat carefully and you eat a lot of decent foods like whole foods, fruits and vegetables. It doesn't cost as much. I mean, when people I know talk about the price of meat, obviously I haven't bought meat for 25 years, so I don't know what it would have cost. So it is cheaper. And then also in terms of my health, I definitely think I'm less tired than I used to be. And I lost some weight when I first became vegetarian. I lost about, I guess, 10 kilos, maybe more, which was quite good at the time.
Well, just on your question about meat is incredibly expensive. That's for sure. Yeah, it's incredibly expensive. I've got a question here. So I think I know, but how long do you plan on doing this? I'm not sure.
Well, but basically forever. Now that I'm in the habit of it, and plus, I think it's easier when you've established over time. I don't miss it. I don't have problems eating the way I do anymore. Everything's fine. So I've got no reason to stop being vegetarian and vegan. It's going to be permanent, basically.
Gotcha. And the last question, Liz, is Because I'm going to do it for 3 weeks and then assess it.
Yeah.
Any tips for me before I begin?
Well, I think the key thing, I mean, number one is don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake or if something goes slightly wrong. If you're going to try and do this, there's habits that you need to learn. And obviously for 3 weeks, you're going to do your best. But kind of acknowledge that there's things that you eat that are vegan. So all fruits and veggies, most bread is vegan. So you can literally look at what you eat now and go, okay, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay. What's there that isn't vegan or plant-based? The thing to do with that as an easy tip is to make a swap. So say, for example, your favourite meal is spaghetti bolognese.
Yeah.
If you love that and the thought of giving it up would be miserable and difficult, still eat spaghetti bolognese, but use a plant-based mint instead.
Yeah.
And you'll still have a meal you enjoy. You might actually be surprised because it'll probably taste really good anyway, because you'll still have all the other familiar ingredients and you're still getting the meal that you enjoy. And with the amount of plant-based options in the supermarket now, you can do that with a lot of things that you commonly eat. And then you realise that, say, for example, at breakfast, I've been a vegan for about 10 years because I stopped having dairy milk and I eat cereal. So if I eat oat milk or soya milk or, another milk, I'm still eating the same breakfast.
Yeah.
So I'm winning. Then at lunch, if I would have had a sandwich, then if I put something in the sandwich that's vegetarian or vegan, I'm still eating a sandwich and an apple at lunch, and I've actually again kind of already then achieved exactly what I needed to achieve. So you kind of get 2/3 of your day organised with breakfast and lunch, and then dinner you have a vegetarian or a vegan spaghetti bolognese. You've done it. You've done a vegan day.
Gotcha.
And that's really it. Swap things. Recognise what you already eat that's already 3/4 of the way there, and then you're good.
And do you think I'll see any benefits in 3 weeks? Or not benefits, but any changes or feel any of it in 3 weeks?
Well, I think the thing is, it depends a bit what kind of diet you already have. I mean, if you already eat a lot of vegetables, you probably won't see much difference. But if it means that you're eating more vegetables and less of the kind of meat products that you normally would, then you might find benefit. It's probably going to be better for your digestion.
Yeah.
That's an obvious one. But yeah, it depends. I mean, if you're just eating burgers and steak every day and you switch to eating a lot more vegetables, then you're bound to have a change and you might lose a few kilos as well. But it will depend a bit on what you already eat.
Excellent, Liz.
Cool.
Is there anything you wanted to ask?
Well, I wonder whether if it goes well, will you keep it up?
Well, to be honest, I want to live healthy. So if I can live with it without it being, how do you say it? Without feeling a negative impact to my life, then I'm very well might be. But I'm not going to, for instance, buy the fake sausages and that, because that's just more processed stuff. You know what I mean? But I'm going to very much try hard to substitute exactly what you said with bolognese. I already thought about that, and I thought, well, to tell you the truth, I don't really even taste the meat in the bolognese. It's just a texture. I could put cauliflower in there and probably get away with it. So I'm going to give it a go in 3 weeks. I've been fasting for 2 weeks, and I'm only eating in an 8-hour period. And I'm going to continue that until summer because I don't have a problem with that. I didn't plan on doing that, but I am going to because it just works. So I'm going to take the same approach with vegan. I'm definitely going to do it for 3 weeks because you do need to give it a proper run. And if it does work after 3 weeks, then I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, and then there's things that if you find a recipe that works, you can end up being in a more of a flexitarian situation. And canned lentils are a really good option to substitute. You can put that into anything instead of mint, and it'll take on all the flavour, and it'll be really good, and it's a more wholesome option than some of the processed stuff as well.
All right, so I ran out of time yesterday to do the peppers the way I like them, but it's quite simple to do. You just put obviously the capsicums in with paprika. This you have to use olive oil. It's just the way it is. This is exactly made for olive oil. There's no way around it. but it's very simple. You just want to put some olive oil, peppers, and oregano, and that is it, nothing else. The trick here is it has to cook slow. So this is going to take about 6 hours to cook, maybe less, maybe 4 to 6 hours, and you really want to cook it at the absolute lowest you can. So we go to fry, and you can see 80 degrees. It's just going to cook at that, and just let it go all day. And we're going to cover it as soon as they become more salty, soggy, and flexible. Right now they're quite stiff because they're raw, but stir it up every now and then, let it simmer, and about 4 to 6 hours later they're going to be perfect. All right, and all done. As you can see, really soft, which is exactly what you want, and very nicely marinated. These are really nice on bread. Best serve them cold and leave them overnight in a container in the fridge, and they'll taste beautiful tomorrow. Very simple and very easy and very tasty.
All right, so that completes day 30. Really good day today. Did a bit of kayaking on the Nord A, about 45 minutes out there. Really beautiful weather, a bit of sun, no wind, really perfect conditions for the kayaking. We also went for a walk around Nord A with a friend of mine. That was pretty nice. I guess also just kind of summarize what I learned about vegan and getting ready for that for tomorrow. A couple of things is it's not really vegan, so I should stop saying that, although I'm not consciously buying animal products, but I did learn that vegan is no animal products whatsoever, clothes, shampoo, whatever, nothing to do with animals. Whereabouts a plant-based diet, which is what I'm doing really, is a diet without any kind of meat, which is only based on plants. So that's more accurate about what I'm doing. I also learned from Liz when I was chatting with her last night on the messenger that I shouldn't worry now too much about the calories, because for instance I asked her about milk. What does she prefer? Almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, and she indicated oat milk, and when I look at it, it's quite high in calorie content. But a good point she made was that you're not eating any other crap. So you're not eating like any pastries, chocolate, anything really high in calories at all. So, you can afford a little bit of extra calories, especially if it comes with some good taste. So I bought some oat milk and I bought some soy milk just to see the difference between the two. But I am going to consciously try to, while I'm doing this vegan thing, not try to look at the calorie count too much. I'm going to look at more the taste and the nutrients that I'm getting in. I'm not too worried. 3 weeks is not a lot of time to do any kind of damage with, for instance, B12 deficiency, which is a very serious problem if you don't get enough B12 in. Of course, there are simple solutions for that, but I'm not going to be too worried about those things. 3 weeks is just not long enough to have an issue with it. So I'm just going to get on with it and enjoy myself and see how this whole new diet affects me for the next 3 weeks. So I hope it's interesting for you as well, and keep watching and you'll also see how it goes. Anyway, have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.